Welcome back for another video. So recently I made a video on how to craft the best armors. So today I'll make a video on how to craft the best weapons. But I won't just talk about the one that has the biggest damage or the best DPS. I'll also take into consideration the one that is actually the most worth it to craft. So without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So let's start with the DPS list to get this out of the way. Which weapons has the best DPS? Let's get this out of the way so that you guys know. This is the DPS list right here. The one that at number 1 is... Okay, this is the rankings right here. The one that is at the number 1 is the best. And then the one that is at number 23 is the worst. So the worst weapon in the entire game is a longsword. And the best weapon in the entire game is a Dragon Slayer Colossal Sword. Now, does that mean that the best weapon in the entire game is a Colossal Sword Dragon Slayer? Well, the answer to that is going to be a big fat no. Let me explain to you why. Okay, imagine you grinded for several hours to obtain around about 40 something ores, because that's the one that's pretty effective for crafting these colossal swords. You cobble together something like this where you have like, 20... Yeah, you have something like 20 mithril, 20 uranium. Imagine, let's say, for example, that you're trying to craft the best weapon ever in the entire game. And let's just imagine that this is Darkite or Demonite, and that this right here is Magmite instead of uranium. Let's just say, for example, that these are the rarest ores in the entire game. And then you are praying that you get the Colossal Sword, the Dragon Slayer. You craft Forge, and then you see it, and then boom, you do. Imagine that you crafted... You spent painstakingly 20 hours, 50 hours trying to get the best ores in the entire game. Imagine this is Darkite, Demonite, Magmite, Fireite. Imagine that these are the best ores in the entire game. You try to get the Dragon Slayer Colossal Sword. You hit craft and then boom, lo and behold, what do you get? A Great Axe. Now, you're super duper sad. The hours you spent, maybe even days that you spent trying to get the Darkite and Demonite in order to craft the Colossal Sword is... now all gone. It's now turned into a Great Axe instead of the Colossal Sword Dragon Slayer top 1 DPS that you always wanted, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Imagine spending a painstaking amount of days grinding for this, and then this is what you got. By the way, this one right here is the Skull Crusher, I believe, and it only has 71 damage. Obviously, what I used wasn't the best, but it is a Great Axe. It has one of the worst DPS in the entire game. So you pretty much see what my point is there, right? With what I said or with what I demonstrated. The amount of ores required in order to craft the Colossal Sword is absurd. And the amount of luck you need to have in order to get the Dragon Slayer, which is the top 1 sword or top 1 weapon in the entire game, is also absurd. Okay, I just got lucky there. I reshooted this video 3 times, and the other 2 times that I did it, I didn't get Dragon Slayer the first time. But yeah, essentially what I'm trying to say is the luck required to craft Dragon Slayer is too high. The amount of times it takes to craft or get the best ores to craft the best weapons takes too much time for you to risk it. So Dragon Slayer is actually not worth it. This is a big fat X right here. So that leaves us with Great Axes, Great Swords, Katanas, Gauntlets, Straight Swords, and Daggers. Which are the other best options? Well, let's take a look at the DPS right here. Which is or where is the top 2 and top 3? Top 2 and top 3 are actually all in Straight Swords. So let's take a look at Straight Swords and see how much it takes to actually craft a single Straight Sword. Well, let's try it right here, and I'll show you exactly how much it costs. The optimal Straight Sword ingredient or ore count is actually only 6 ores compared to the 30 to 40 or something for the Colossal Sword. So you need to craft a Straight Sword, then you need to craft a Colossal Sword. So this is by far more worth it than the Colossal Sword that will take you ages to obtain and might not even give you a pretty good weapon. Also, mind you that the top 2 and top 3 are in here with Chaos and Rapier. Ideally you get Rapier, but ideally you get Chaos, but if you don't get Chaos and you get Rapier is still pretty good because it has, really high DPS and it's really fast as well. So ideally you'll get something like Rapier. It's pretty good, to be honest with you guys. So this is the best weapon to craft in my opinion, and the best ores to craft it is actually going to be either Demonite or Darkite, right? Demonite or Darkite. If you don't have Demonite, you can use Darkite. If you don't have Darkite, you can substitute Demonite. And then Magmite. Magmite can never be lost as it has the best traits in the entire game, which is Blast and or Explosion, whatever it is. So Magmite must always be in there. And if you're crafting a straight sword, it's most of the time just like this, right? You don't really need to add other ores because the other ores will reduce the base multiplier. Like if I do something like this, it reduces the base multiplier by so much. Instead of being able to craft a weapon that has high multiplier, it's so much lower, right? So something like this is ideally the best, you know? Or if you don't have Demonite, you could do Darkite. If you don't have Darkite, you could do Demonite. Demonite, I believe, is more common than Darkite. But if you don't have Darkite or Demonite, another good option is Lightite because Lightite has pretty good multipliers as well, actually. You could also use something like Firelight and something like that. But the best ores that you can use for crafting a straight sword is Demonite, Darkite, Magmite, and Firelight or Lightite, right? So ideally, it will be, you know, a lot of Demonites and then you're just gonna add in a few Magmite or a few Firelight. Yeah, basically just a few Magmite in order to have that blast trait. And then this will give you a pretty decent sword, right? Now, the only problem here is it's still RNG based, right? It's still 1 in 16 for the straight sword, that is Chaos variant, and 1 of 4 for the Rapier variant. So that is still actually pretty rare. So let me give you guys actually a much better option that you guys might be interested in as well. If you go take a look at this one right here as well, there's only one type of weapon that is in the top 10 that is also pretty good, that whichever variant you get is gonna be good, right? So the Katanas, which is top 9 DPS in the entire game, has more range than the straight swords. This is 9 studs, which means that you will have longer range than the straight sword, which I would argue is actually a lot better than the higher DPS of the straight sword because Katanas only cross 12 ore, they have relative DPS, and they have higher range. I think this is a pretty great option. They cost 12 ores, and the thing here that's actually pretty nice is the fact that whichever version or variant of Katanas that you obtain, you will be able to have the same amount of DPS, right? 10.119 for Uchigatana and 10.119 for Tachi, which means if you get Uchigatana, you're good. If you get Tachi, you're still good because there's literally no difference in their DPS. One of them attacks faster but has less damage. One of them attacks harder but has less attack speed, and they both have the same range. So yeah, Katanas is a pretty safe option if you want to have something that has really high DPS. Now the thing with Katanas though is it's quite more expensive than straight swords. It's about 12 ores in order to craft a katana. And what I would do for a katana is probably going to be something like this: 4 Magmites, 4 Demonites, 2 Magmites, and then probably I'll add in a Magmite right there, and then probably I'll add in a Darkite here as well. Or you could do Darkite. Yeah. The best options, again, and I will reiterate this here, the only ores that you really need to use is Magmites and then Demonite and Darkite. But you can substitute ores and Lightites if you want to, right? This is the best case right here. But you can substitute some of these for Lightite, for example. Let's say you don't have Darkite, you could substitute it for Lightite. Or if you don't have Firelight, you could substitute it with IR. Obviously, the better ores you use, the better the result will be. But the only ores, remember this, the only ores that you can use for weapons, and I will recommend that you don't use any other ore, it's either Demonite, Darkite, Firelight, Magmite, Lightite, or IR. Those are the only 6 ores that you can use, okay? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the only 6 ores that you can use. If you have Demonite and Darkite, use it. If you don't, use Lightite and IR and Magmite and Firelight, right? That's pretty much it, honestly. So it's up to you really if you want to have the safer option with Katana. It's top 9 in the DPS, but it has longer range, and it's a safe option because whichever variant you get, you're going to be really good. Or you could go for the less cheaper, more RNG, which does have the better weapon. In straight sword, you could get Chaos or Rapier, but there is more RNG required there. But that is cheaper. Problem there is that it does have more RNG requirements. Or if you really want the best weapon, you could just go for the Colossal Sword. But it's just not worth it because who has like 10 Darkite and 10 Demonite, right? I really don't think a lot of you guys are willing to take the risk to craft a Colossal Greatsword. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. In terms of runes, I covered this in my previous video, but the only runes worth using is Blast Chip with Lethality or Attack Speed, and Drain's Edge with Lethality or Attack Speed. Those are the only ones that are really worth using. That's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe, and peace out, everybody.